Welcome back to the Alternate History channel, where histories might have been unfold before our eyes. Today we're revisiting one of history's most iconic figures, Napoleon Bonaparte, in a new light. In our first ever episode, we explored the tantalizing scenario. What if Napoleon won the Battle of Waterloo? Now we dive into another intriguing possibility. What if Napoleon escaped his exile on St. Helena and ruled until his natural death? Join us as we weave through this alternate narrative, examining how the legendary Emperor of the French could have continued to shape the course of history. If you're curious about more Napoleonic alternate histories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's embark on this enthralling journey into the what-ifs of Napoleon's extended saga. In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, Europe witnessed the meteoric rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, a figure whose military genius and political acumen left an indelible mark on world history. Born in Corsica in 1769, Napoleon's early life was marked by his exceptional talent at military school, which set the stage for his future conquests. Rising through the ranks during the turmoil of the French Revolution, he became a general at the young age of 24. Napoleon's series of military campaigns, known as the Napoleonic Wars, saw him battling coalitions of European nations, drastically altering the continent's political landscape. His revolutionary legal code, the Napoleonic Code, reformed legal systems across Europe. Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of the French in 1804, a move that symbolized his absolute power and the transformation of France under his rule. However, Napoleon's ambition eventually led to his downfall. His disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812 was a turning point, leading to a series of defeats, which culminated in his first exile to Elba. Escaping from Elba, he briefly regained power in the 100 days before suffering a final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. In our alternate history scenario, Napoleon, exiled to the remote island of St. Helena, orchestrates an audacious escape. Using his exceptional strategic mind, he evades the tight security imposed by the British and re-enters the European political arena. This unexpected turn of events opens a realm of possibilities. How would a Europe, weary from years of warfare and just beginning to stabilize, react to the return of its most formidable and charismatic leader? Would Napoleon seek vengeance, attempt to reclaim his empire, or perhaps pursue a different path altogether? The news of Napoleon's escape from St. Helena sends shockwaves across Europe. Governments, still reeling from the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars, are thrown into a state of panic. The possibility of Napoleon rallying support and raising an army looms large over the continent. European powers led by Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia convene in emergency sessions, debating their course of action. Old rivalries and suspicions resurface as each nation grapples with the potential threat of a Napoleonic resurgence. In France, the reaction is mixed, while the Bourbon monarchy, restored after Napoleon's fall, views his escape with dread. There remains a faction within France, nostalgic for the glory days of the empire, that sees Napoleon's return as a beacon of hope. Rumors swirl about possible uprisings and a restoration of the empire. The French government tightens security, fearing both external invasion and internal rebellion. Meanwhile, Napoleon, using his charisma and reputation, begins to gather support. Discontented military veterans, former officers of the Grande Armée, and those disillusioned with the current political order rally to his cause. Despite the passage of time and his previous defeats, Napoleon's legend endures, making him a figure around whom opposition to the existing European order can coalesce. Internationally, Napoleon's escape disrupts the delicate balance of power established by the Congress of Vienna. The United Kingdom, long Napoleon's staunchest opponent, mobilizes its navy, fearing a repeat of past attempts to invade Britain. Other nations, like Prussia and Austria, strengthen their borders and prepare their armies, uncertain of Napoleon's intentions but unwilling to take chances. The immediate period following Napoleon's escape is marked by a tense geopolitical standoff, with Europe on the brink of another major conflict. Diplomats work tirelessly to prevent escalation, while spies and informants crisscross the continent, each power seeking to gauge Napoleon's plans and capabilities. In this high-stakes environment, every move by Napoleon and the European powers is scrutinized, as the continent teeters on the edge of a new era shaped by the spectre of the resurgent emperor. Napoleon Bonaparte's escape from St. Helena is not merely a flight to freedom, but a carefully orchestrated first step in his remarkable political and military resurgence. Utilizing his unmatched strategic mind and deep understanding of European politics, Napoleon begins to weave his comeback. Initially, Napoleon avoids direct confrontation with the major European powers. He understands the need for a more subtle approach, given the wary and battle-hardened nature of Europe post-1815. His first move is to seek asylum in a neutral country, using this as a base to communicate with his supporters across Europe, especially in France. His presence alone galvanizes various groups discontented with the current state of affairs. Veterans of his former armies, disenfranchised nobles, and even commoners yearning for the stability and glory of the Napoleonic era. Napoleon's charisma and reputation as a reformer attract a wide array of allies. He meticulously begins rebuilding his base of power, focusing on garnering support within France while reaching out to sympathetic elements in other countries. His messages, full of rhetoric about national glory, justice, and stability, resonate with many who feel disillusioned by the political fragmentation and reactionary policies of the post-Napoleonic era. Gradually, Napoleon establishes a shadow government in exile. This entity starts influencing political decisions in France and other nations through a network of loyalists and sympathizers. His agents infiltrate various levels of government, military, and society, subtly shifting the narrative in favor of Napoleon's return. In France, the government struggles to combat the growing pro-Napoleonic sentiment. The Bourbon monarchy, already unpopular in many circles for its perceived ineptitude and detachment from the populace, finds itself increasingly on the defensive. Protests and demonstrations, covertly encouraged by Napoleon's agents, begin to erupt across the country. Internationally, Napoleon skillfully exploits the rivalries and tensions among the European powers. He sends envoys to negotiate secret deals, promising territorial adjustments and political concessions in return for support or neutrality. His diplomatic maneuvers create divisions among the Allies, as each nation weighs its interests against the risks of opposing or supporting a potential Napoleonic comeback. Through a combination of strategic diplomacy, covert operations, and leveraging his enduring legacy, Napoleon sets the stage for a dramatic return to power. The Europe of the early 19th century, already a tinderbox of competing interests and lingering animosities, finds itself confronting the prospect of a reinvigorated Napoleon, poised to reclaim his former glory. Napoleon Bonaparte, having successfully reclaimed power, remains a dominant figure in European politics until his natural death years later. His extended reign and the subsequent aftermath of his passing lead to far-reaching long-term impacts that reshape the trajectory of European and global history. During his prolonged rule, Napoleon stabilizes France and establishes a regime that blends elements of authoritarianism with progressive reforms. He continues to reform the French legal and educational systems, and his policies significantly influence economic and cultural development. The Napoleonic Code becomes a model for legal systems in many parts of the world, spreading principles of legal equality, secularism, and rational governance. In the realm of foreign affairs, Napoleon maintains a cautious balance between expansionism and diplomacy. He consolidates France's position in Europe through strategic alliances and marriages, intertwining the destinies of European royal houses with that of France. This approach leads to a relatively stable, if uneasy, peace in Europe, marked by power plays and diplomatic maneuvering rather than outright warfare. Upon Napoleon's death, Europe faces a power vacuum and a period of uncertainty. The French Empire, now without its charismatic leader, struggles to maintain its influence. The transition of power is fraught with challenges, as various factions vie for control, and Napoleon's appointed successor grapples with the monumental task of filling his shoes. In the wider European context, Napoleon's death triggers a reconfiguration of alliances. Nations previously subdued or hesitant to challenge Napoleon's France seize the opportunity to assert their interests. This leads to a period of diplomatic realignments and, in some cases, territorial disputes. However, the foundations laid by Napoleon, particularly his legal and administrative reforms, continue to influence European societies. Globally, Napoleon's extended reign impacts colonial policies and international trade. His views on colonialism and trade shape French overseas ventures, leading to a different colonial landscape, especially in regions like Africa and the Americas. The ripple effects of these policies are felt across the globe, influencing the course of colonization and the development of global trade networks. Culturally, the legacy of the Napoleonic era endures well beyond his death. The patronage of arts and sciences during his reign leads to a flourishing of European culture, impacting literature, art, philosophy, and science. The ideals of the Enlightenment promoted under Napoleon's rule continue to influence intellectual thought and societal development across Europe and beyond. In summary, Napoleon's extended reign and the period following his death lead to a complex tapestry of political, social, and cultural changes. While his death marks the end of an era, the imprints of his leadership and policies continue to shape Europe and the world in profound ways, leaving a legacy that endures in various facets of modern society. As we wrap up this episode, we reflect on the enduring fascination with Napoleon Bonaparte and his potential to reshape history in myriad ways. In this alternate timeline, we witnessed a world where Napoleon's influence extended far beyond his historical downfall, leaving a lasting impact on Europe and beyond. If you enjoyed this exploration into Napoleon's hypothetical extended reign, revisit our very first episode, What If Napoleon Won the Battle of Waterloo, for another intriguing look at the Emperor's potential alternate paths. Click the link to explore that scenario, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Join us next time on the Alternate History channel, where we continue to unravel history's most captivating what-ifs.